Ignition sequence starts. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Liftoff. We have a liftoff.
Hey everybody, this is the Digital Asset Investor. A lot to go over today. The SEC is getting just pummeled today, it seems like. Let's start this off. First, we got Binance that has partnered with Ledger to enable crypto purchases. So that's going to be interesting. I've been able to make a couple of purchases using, I think it was MoonPay, but Binance will open up a whole new menu of digital assets and no telling what other kind of things. Now, today we had crypto exchange Deribit hot wallet hacked for $28 million. So reminder, Ledger's one of my sponsors. Top of the description, you can get the X or the Nano S Plus, or you can get a bundle 10% off. Go do it. All right. I floated this out because all I see all over Twitter is all these people whining about $8 a month for a blue check mark or whatever. Doesn't really matter to me. I'm just going to keep on doing my thing on Twitter. What's important to me is putting out consistent content every day, and putting content out and covering a topic that I believe in. That's how I got into this thing, and that's kind of how I've stayed into this thing. And so, but I did float this idea. Elon, why not $8 in XRP? Not to be confused with 8XRP. $8 in XRP for the blue check. You like fast and you love X. For those of you that don't know, when he started PayPal, he started it as X.com, and then when they later changed the name, my understanding is that he bought X.com to have for himself. Then he named his son, I think, XA12. Then he's got SpaceX, the Tesla Model X, and several, I think plenty of other X's in his life. So why not some XRP? You know Dogecoin's not the one, Elon. You know that. You can play that game all you want. Jeannie, I like this. 2023 is the year of the transition. By 2025, all CBDCs will be operating seamlessly using XRP for atomic settlement. What you are witnessing now is the steps needed to implement the above in a way that it deemed necessary. ISO switch is ritual beginning when utility kicks in. Hope he's right. Sounds good to me. Today, the Federal Reserve Chairman increased interest rates again. Check it out.
At some point, as I've said in the last two press conferences, it will become appropriate to slow the pace of increases as we approach the level of interest rates that will be sufficiently restrictive to bring inflation down to our 2% goal. There is significant uncertainty around that level of interest rates. Even so, we still have some ways to go. And incoming data since our last meeting suggests that the ultimate level of interest rates will be higher than previously expected.
Yeah. That means get ready for 10% interest rates, folks. This is how the market reacted to what he did today, and that's not good. Look, folks, cash is king right now. Make sure you have a good cushion of cash. That's what I'm doing. Then there was this woman right here. Her name is Lisa Braganca. I'm sure I said that wrong, but she was the a branch chief at the SEC, and she's talking to Thinking Crypto. Listen to this.
It's a mess. So it's
yeah, it just seems bad optics. And you also layer in that some whistleblower organizations have done FOIA requests, and it seems that there's ethics violations with Bill Hinman and Ethereum. And I know that's a layer in the Ripple lawsuit, and has been brought up before the SEC enforcement director with members of Congress as well. What are your thoughts on that? Look, we know Bitcoin is not a security. That was, I think Jay Clayton, he mentioned that, and Gary Gensler echoes those statements. However, all of a sudden Ethereum was mentioned that it was not a security, and while the other tokens are in limbo, So what do you think happened here with Bill Hinman and that whole debacle?
Boy, that is a tough one. I really don't know how that shakes out in terms of ethics. I think it's always tough when individuals work for the SEC. They can publicly make statements that they always say are only their own statements, that they don't speak for the. But those of us in the securities law area, of course we parse their words. What else do we have to go on when there isn't a regulation? We are constantly trying to figure out which way is the SEC going? How do we advise our clients? So it's a real problem. I think the whole meetings that happened I really can't comment on the ethics, though. I don't know. I'm glad that, that it's being looked into, and hopefully we will get better answers from that inquiry.
Well, this triggered John Deaton. Look at this. When will Congress do its job? Is there an inquiry? I know that thousands of messages were sent asking for a letter of inquiry, just asking if the Hinman speech was officially screened and approved by SEC ethics. Congressman Davidson asked this question directly to the SEC enforcement director at the last hearing, but he refused to answer, claiming he couldn't talk about it because it was being litigated. That answer is 100% misleading and not true. The question must be answered now and can't be avoided. First, it wasn't true. Whether the Hinman speech was screened and approved by the SEC ethics was never litigated. Only emails, drafts, comments about the speech were being litigated. Regardless, that issue is moot. The judge ruled and emails, drafts had been turned over. The motions for summary judgment are in. Nowhere does the ethics question get raised, proving it wasn't being litigated. Regardless, it isn't being litigated anymore. The SEC didn't appeal the judge's ruling. And then he gets, I think down here, he says, it would take less than 1 hour for a paralegal with very little experience to find the conflict because it's that easy. So down here, I think he hit, as I recall, he starts talking about Congress. We're not asking for a lot. Just ask the question like Congressman David already did, except now they can't evade it. To those who wish we would leave this alone, if you want crypto and this industry to move forward legitimately, we must clean our own house or our enemies will. John is directly over the target. And then this triggered John. John's pissed about all this, and I don't blame him. Gensler's warning to market players, SEC's crackdown is just getting started. Now, this is one of the things that Charles Hoskinson said. He made a comment when he was getting all huffy with the XRP people, and he was basically saying that you're gonna, when you attack these people, you're gonna cause them to dig in instead of you're not gonna win, you're not gonna get anything out of it. Well, I think that's a terrible attitude. At what point do you take a stand? Gary Gensler is taking a stand against the entire crypto industry, and I think with every passing day, more companies and organizations and different things in crypto have also decided to take a stand. John Deaton said a long time ago, the way you deal with a bully, well, in fact, they tried to act like John was threatening him somehow, which he wasn't. But John was just making the point that you don't lay down for these kind of people. If there's anybody that's been put on their heels, it's Gary Gensler, and people need to apply even more pressure. And John Deaton says, it motivates me to fight against the arrogance of someone like Gary Gensler. Come on in and talk and leave with a subpoena. There's so much fraud that could be addressed, but instead he makes it about himself and his agenda. And then we had this. Tom Emmer comes in. Chair Gensler's regime at the SEC has been characterized by regulatory hypocrisy and inconsistency unacceptable that Gary Gensler doesn't hold himself to the same transparency standards that he places on the private sector. Recent reports, this is from the House Judiciary, Recent reports suggest the SEC officials are using off-channel communication platforms to conduct official business and are failing to comply with federal record-keeping statutes. And they apparently wrote a letter. I believe Congress is getting all of this on the record so that if they win this election coming up, that's when you're going to get to see just how cowardly Gary Gensler is. You're going to get to watch him quit so that he doesn't have to face these people. He'll probably do similar to what Jay Clayton did, dropping a lawsuit and then walking out the door so that he doesn't have to face any of the consequences. Gary Gensler will probably walk right out the door and leave the mess for somebody else to clean up. According to a former, listen to this, from Eleanor Tarrant. According to a former SEC government employee, this off-channel communication has been a part of the agency culture for years. This person tells me former Chairman Jay Clayton was a texter and preferred to use his personal accounts to avoid potential Freedom of Information Act conflicts or requests. What about that? Then there's this. This was from a Hester Pierce interview this morning. Look at this line. Pierce has similarly found such invitations to be effectively meaningless, and she said the SEC's past meetings with crypto companies to have led nowhere by design. In other words, what she just said, remember the FinHub? Remember Valerie Chapinick or whatever her name is? What she's saying right here is that all of that was designed for you to come in and see us, and then we can build a file on you, and we're not going to do anything to help you in crypto. That's what she's saying right here, okay? That is the SEC of the United States of America. What that also means, and I said it here, according to Hester Pierce, this is the meeting where Brad Garlinghouse and Joel Katz, David Schwartz went in and met with them. Remember, Jake? This meeting, based on what she's saying, this meeting was a complete lie by Jay Clayton to trick Ripple and Brad Garlinghouse, who were acting in good faith, into giving the SEC information that could later be used against them. Why does this agency still exist? Sounds like The Sopranos. Here's Brad Garlinghouse describing the meeting that he had.
Did you get a sense post-ICO crash in some of your interactions with the SEC that things were starting to trend in the wrong direction? Or up until the day that things went sideways?
No, we had a sense. I mean, look, so I remember when I first met with the SEC, the SEC had set up this innovation group run by a woman named Val Sapanic, and she became kind of the crypto czar. And look, they were purportedly just, hey, we want to understand. We went in to kind of just educate them. Frankly, as I was going around the world, meeting with central bankers around the world, talking to them about here's how Ripple's solution works. Here's the kind of customers we're signing. Here's how we use XRP. Mm-hmm. We are one participant in the XRP ecosystem. And so the first meeting I had, Jay Clayton was there, and not once did anyone say to me in this meeting that, and by the way, again, no lawyers from Ripple were there. It was me and David Schwartz. And, there's never even a suggestion that XRP was a security. And I thought it was a very constructive meeting just to talk about how Ripple was using XRP and how the whole kind of crypto landscape, looked. Now, to your question, when did we get a sense that the tone had shifted? About a year after that, we got a letter, and now lots of people have gotten these letters. In my judgment, the SEC has gone cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs and just blasting out these.
Okay, I think you get the point. But the whole thing was just a sham to get them to come in there and just gather information on them. That's all they were trying to do, and that's per Hester Pierce. That's how you protect investors. And then I love these library tweets. The SEC's position is that there are only two ways to legally launch a token. One, anonymously in 2009, Bitcoin. Or two, illegally with subsequent bribery, Ethereum. I'm the digital asset investor. I'm not an investment advisor. This is for entertainment purposes only. Please subscribe, hit the like button, and tell your friends and family that these are the only two ways, apparently.